Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are blessed today with Daniel Solis. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me.
Ranked number 127 on the Scotsman's Guide so far this year. Tell me a little bit about how you got in the mortgage industry, your background, and how you got to be where you are today.
It's kind of a cool story. I went to school for exercise science, and when I graduated, car sales was the most logical way to go. So I went into car sales, and honestly, I just hated it. And I literally stumbled upon a mortgage job with one of the largest lenders, and I worked in the operations side of things for a very long time. Started in 2000, and I say very long time. Started 2014. And then 2019, the owner was like, "Hey, I think you would do better in the sales types of environment." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's try that." So I had a baby due, and a couple months later, and I had a nice salary job, and I told my wife, "Hey, look, I'm quitting. I'm going commission." So we charged it in about 2000. It was 2019, I believe, is when I got licensed to be a loan officer, and I never looked back. Just never looked back after that point.
That is amazing. That is incredible. So I'm very interested because there's kind of a theme there. So you went to school for one thing and made a little bit of a pivot to another,
Yeah.
got really good at that, and then pivoted to another. What's your philosophy on growth, and how do you identify which opportunities you're going to take and which opportunities you don't?
I'll be honest with you. It really I've always relied on my gut. I mean, this gut feeling I get, and I know that's kind of a general thing. I mean, of course, I'll look at the pros and the cons, and I'll kind of see what my strengths are, and will it align with my strengths? Would it allow me to have freedom? Can I grow? Like, what type of growth opportunities am I going to have? And what other doors will it open? But I would say my gut. If I have a strong gut feeling like this is what I need to do, then I'll do it. I worked for the first year I was a loan officer, I had worked for a shop, and I had this feeling, I had this gut feeling that something was wrong. And I just felt like in 6 months that wouldn't be around anymore. And I needed to pivot again. And within the 6 month mark, to the day, that company wasn't around anymore. And my pivot 6 months prior, is where I am today. And it was creating VA wholesale mortgage with my business partner.
That is incredible. That's awesome. That's
It's the Lord. I won't even say gut. So I'll attribute it to him.
Amen to that. And it takes a faithful follower to actually take action. So kudos to you. Now, you enter as a loan officer. What do you do? What's your plan to generate volume, and how are you generating the majority of your business right now?
So I have a couple different, I guess, avenues that I'll really touch on. I think you hear so many people talk, and you have so many different voices kind of explaining like how you be that number one loan officer. How do you get a ton of deals, get referrals? And it all boils down to a very simple aspect, and it's your activity. And activity can be defined by a number of different things, but it's very simple math. The more activity, the more reach, the more business.
Yeah.
And that's the most simple way that you can summarize the whole thing is activity, whether it be cold calling, whether it be social media, whether it be, events, just anything that is an activity can be tracked, and you can continue it on and on and on. So I would say that activity and social media are like the two things that I focus on heavily.
That is amazing. Okay, so we'll unpack social media in just a
Yeah.
second, but we are so aligned on the activity thing. So in the background, we've created this AI powered loan officer
Mhm.
CRM. Many of our listeners know it. It's loanofficercrm.ai. And I partnered with Carl White from the
Yeah. Yep.
Mortgage Marketing Animals.
Mhm.
So he has the daily success plan, certain activities on each day of the week, Monday through Thursday, in order to just fill the pipeline.
Right.
And what we did was we said, okay, it just needs, if loan officers want to be successful, they just need more contacts into the top of the funnel. And the thing that's stopping them right now is they are the ones that actually have to pick up the phone and make the phone calls in order to make
Right.
the activity happen.
Mhm.
So we bolted a power dialer onto it, knowing that some of them, hopefully most of them, are going to use the power dialer so they can make 4 times the amount of calls in the
Yeah.
same amount. But what most people are doing as we're watching people come through the software is they're skipping the power dialer part and just dumping them into let's send the emails and the text messages and have that do it. But we literally have tracked, and it's like if we can take somebody from 100 contacts to 500 contacts and everything stays the same in the middle, they'll go from 1 deal to 5.
Right.
So, how do you approach the activities in your business? Are you following theme days? How are you putting more into the top of the funnel?
So every day has a purpose.
Awesome.
And I think that, so I agree with everything you said. I think every day should have a purpose. I think every day has a plan. Like time's going to pass. It's your choice what you're going to do with the time, right? It's the Pareto principle. I live by that Pareto principle. I want to focus the majority of my effort on the stuff that's going to make me the most money. And the things that are going to make the most money, I want in the beginning of my week when I'm fresh, coming out of the weekend. I'm eager and ready to roll. I'm not burnt from the whole week. I wouldn't try to call and talk to real estate agents on Fridays. I'd rather have that on a Monday. So every day for me has a purpose. And then every day also my team members, because this is the important part, is that my team knows what they're supposed to do on every day of the week, every week. Because if they don't know what they're supposed to do, then it's going to limit to what I can do. So my team is like, it is clockwork. We know exactly what's going to happen. We know what each person's going to do. And it's a process. It really is a process. And it's a little fine-tuned machine we got going.
That is amazing. And so for your team, are you using scorecards, daily trackers? How are you, like we always say, we inspect what we expect. And so we lay out like, here's the process that you're supposed to follow, but we need a way to double check and make sure that that's actually being followed. So how do you take that process in your business?
We have an activity tracker. So we definitely have an activity tracker. We track phone calls, face-to-face meetings, break breads, events, social media posts, birthday text messages. So we really track the important touch points of our week throughout the process, on top of our real estate agent status updates, our post-closing calls, are touching the pre-approvals and coordinating with the real estate agent to make sure they're in the loop. So we have activities, and then we got the rest of the activities, but our daily activity tracker is probably the best way for us to know what each person is doing.
Yeah, so much brilliance there. I've never had anybody take the Pareto principle and apply it to do the highest level actions first in the week. I think that is just brilliant. That's something I'm definitely going to leverage from today's episode. So thank you for that. And then I love the way, just in hearing you speak about the process that you've got it broken down into 2 activities. One that generates the business, and you're tracking, okay, here's the specific activities that we know if you do them, it generates business.
Right.
But then here's all the activities once we get the business to make sure that it actually flows and processes and closes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I think you can watch loan officers when they first start kind of look like a roller coaster. I mean, they have those up and down months, and it's because they're so gung ho on, let me just go get as much business as possible, and then I'll focus on that business. And then they forget about going to get more. And they have these just up and down months. And I think being a successful loan officer, you realize how you get business and front load that process so that you can stay in sales mode the whole time, and let your business do what your business does, and then stop working in your business and start working on it.
Yeah, that is brilliant. What does your processing team look like as far as like how many people, what roles do they look like?
So really have two main, I would say, my AVP of lending and my AVP of business development, right? So I have my front person, the second, and the reason I put AVP, and people like get on me about these titles, but I'm like, if I tell somebody, hey, do you want to talk to my pipeline manager, or hey, do you want to talk to my AVP of lending? It's just that it carries more weight. So I have that AVP of lending, AVP of business development, and what the front, I guess, guy does, he will onboard my leads. So he'll onboard leads, qualify the leads, set me up appointments, mortgage consultations. I love Zoom mortgage consultations. I mean, everybody embraces that right now.
Yeah.
And I'll do those. I have mortgage consultations. And then when they're under contract, he'll onboard the contract and get it over to our processing team and our AVP of business development.
Yeah.
And her job is she's kind of like air traffic control, sitting above, making sure that the process is going smooth, make sure that our closing dates are good, locks are okay. I have every rate lock call. And then the other thing that she does is she communicates with our agents every week, like clockwork, at the same time, non-negotiable. Nothing else is scheduled in that time. And that way we have another point of sale and we have another touch for our listing agents and buyers agents and our
Yeah.
clients.
That is just brilliant. And I love that you're in, for lack of a better phrase, like the doctor role, where
Yeah.
there's systems and processes. You're coming in, you're doing the diagnostic, and you're doing those two really critical touch points for that consumer experience and
Right.
the brand. And then the rest is systems and processes. That's amazing.
Yeah. Perfect analogy.
Yeah. You mentioned social media, and
Yeah.
that is kind of your second focus. A
Right.
lot of people, especially in the mortgage industry,
Mhm.
struggle with how do I be relevant? How do I create content? How do I actually generate a lead that will close
Right.
from social media? So, what is your approach to social media?
Wow. I mean, that is a loaded question. I used to think, I remember probably a couple of years ago, social media was really starting to go. And I told everybody, I was like, listen, social media is going to get to a point where it doesn't separate you anymore. It's just something you have to have.
Yeah.
And we're at that point where you have to have social media. It's again, non-negotiable, because if I can be, guys that I'm coached with, like, seen and trusted before I walk into the room, then I can win. I can make myself look like an expert anywhere I want, regardless if I just got my license yesterday or if I've had it for 20 plus years. I control my brand with social media. I
Yep.
control it. And I can beat out anybody that doesn't have social media because I can be seen first right now. So, in the broadest sense, is just this necessity, this necessary thing that we have to have right now in order to be seen by the customer.
Yep. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but the majority of your business is VA lending, correct?
So it's a lot of it. I do a lot of conformant, like a lot of conventional. I do some FHA, but it's majority VA. We're a veteran-owned company. We're very plugged into the VA community. So we got, licensed in states where a lot of people are PCSing. So we definitely focus on VA. We do everything, but VA is definitely we're going to get that, being the veteran-owned and pushing how hard we push in the community.
That's awesome. And so does that reflect in your social media? Are you niche specific with your content on what you're putting out?
So I'm not really. I don't really push the VA loan, just because I think our name does that a lot, and
Okay.
just who we are. But I push more. I try to push more like financial advice, just thoughts that I come up with, different things. Because social media, I mean, I'm going to go after the client, but I also love social media because it allows me to connect to the agent. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of loan officers miss the mark, is they're trying so hard to get to the client. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to get to the agent so I can help them with social media so they can get to the client before another agent that doesn't work with me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest piece to that. And I think the agents that really understand that, it becomes a really cool partnership, because if I can grow one of my agent partners' social media accounts and help them grow, and they beat out other agents, there's value. I mean,
Yep.
I'm getting the business that they're asking for by doing that. So there's so many different approaches and different ways to utilize social media. It's just figuring out the way that you want to approach it and running with it, and stop and don't hesitate.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, especially the hesitation component. And You can put stuff out and measure it. If you have an idea about something and you put it out there and you don't
Mhm.
seem to get the conversations or the traction that you're looking for, you can pivot. You can try
100%.
something different. Uh,
100%.
Almost every single person that I've had on the show that's being successful with social media has one thing that they tend to be focused on. And it's like I do realtor interviews. So we have a strategy where you start a show, much like
Mhm.
this, and you're inviting the realtors and financial planners and
Yeah.
investment advisors and all the people you have them on the show. And what you're doing is you're creating their content for them. You
Hmm.
record the episode, put it into AI. AI does all the shorts and the reels and posts
Hmm.
that out there. But then some people are like, no, I'm just going to do reverse mortgages.
Yeah.
And anytime somebody sees me on social media, it's going to be a strategy for that. So do you look at your content in like theme days of like today I'm going to produce content for realtors, the next day I'm going to go consumer direct, or is it all kind of just jumbled together on whatever comes out?
Whenever I wake up and I feel like I want to post, I utilize AI a lot. So just for different kind of, I guess, inspiration, I would say. But if something hits me or I start thinking about, hey, I really wish I knew that, because reality is that nobody's going to want to see as much mortgage stuff as the loan officers.
Yeah.
Like buyers really don't care about necessarily, the hey, if I see one more video like, hey, here's how you buy a 4-unit property with 3.5% down, like that video, I'm tired of seeing it. But so I have a bunch of jumbled different things. I want to be different. Like I want to post different things. I love the collab with the real estate agent and cutting it up for them. I'll do that as well. Something that I'll do is I'll just think of a random question, something that I hear anybody ask. And I ask people, I'm like, hey, random. If you had a question about real estate and you could ask a real estate agent, what would you ask them? And then I'll record myself asking that question. I'll call up one of my agents and say, hey, can you just record yourself answering this?
Yeah.
And then what I'll do is I'll just mash the video, caption it, and put it out there. And we have a collabed video. So I'll do that with title companies, insurance agents. Like I'll do that with anybody. And I'm getting content, they're getting content, and I'm editing one time.
Yeah. That is amazing. That is so powerful. Um, all right. You mentioned AI.
Mhm.
I'm huge on AI. We
Yeah.
don't touch anything in our company right now without AI, at least learning
Yeah.
from it or
It's
being
cool.
part of it. So, what are your favorite AI tools right now? What are you using that you're finding helpful?
Man, Chat GPT,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that thing, I mean, it's my best friend. It's probably hijacked my whole computer, but that's my best friend right now. So I really like Chat GPT. I really like Canva. I mean, you can't sleep on Canva. Um, yes, a lot of people like to use the same templates, but if you really can get cool with Canva, you can make some stuff that doesn't look templated and looks kind of sharp. So I like Canva. Clap is a really cool app. I really like Clap, and what I use Clap does is it's basically you record a segment that's over 2 minutes, it cuts up the video, gives it a virality score, cuts it under a minute, captions it for you, and then you just post it. So a lot of times, what I'll do, prime example, I will just set up my camera and set up my tripod. I will record myself talking to the wall.
Yep.
I just start recording and I just start talking. I just throw out ideas. I talk leadership, personal development, financial freedom, generational wealth, how to do mortgages, how to help a real estate agent, how to add, and I'll just talk for like 5 to 7 minutes. I'll upload it to this site and it will cut me probably 10 to 15 60-second clips, caption it, and then it will list them in virality score on how they do.
That's
And
amazing.
So I use that in Descript. I don't know if you ever messed with Descript, but I love Descript because I can edit through paragraph, I can edit through Word,
Yeah.
and I can put transitions and I can put pictures and emojis and all those little things that people like to see. So I like that. Those are the things that I use pretty much regularly, and CapCut also.
That
So
is amazing.
yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Well, Daniel, you are obviously successful for a reason, man. Thank you so much for being on the show and
Yeah.
being so generous with your time and your knowledge. Where do people go to find more information about you?
SolisLendingTeam.com, but really my Instagram. I mean, my Instagram is where if anybody wants to follow me, it's the _Daniel Solis on Instagram. And that's probably best place to follow me. Reach out, DM me if you have questions. I love talking social. So any tips or tricks, feel free.
That is amazing. That's awesome. Again, thank you for sharing. And for all of our listeners, that is definitely worth a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Make sure you head on over there and hit us up with a 5-star review. And we are looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.